Old Man Logan is, without a doubt, one of the greatest Wolverine comics in history, and personally, it's my absolute favourite. With the Logan movie just around the corner, we know it's drawing some inspiration from the now iconic series, and we also know, thank God, the movie is going to be amazing, so how does the comic match up? And I think if you haven't read it, you're going to be surprised at how dark and gritty it actually gets. The story of Old Man Logan occurs in an alternate universe to where the Marvel stories take place, which is kind of a good thing, as in this universe, most of your favorite heroes are dead. Many years ago, under the leadership of the Red Skull, all of the villains banded together to wipe the heroes out of existence once and for all. Once they succeeded, they divided up control of America. The Red Skull took the East Coast, Dr. Doom seized control of Minnesota down to Louisiana, and the West Coast was the Abomination's territory. But he lost it to the Hulk, and next to that was the domain of Magneto, but he too was defeated, and the new Kingpin took over. Because in Kingpin's own words, bitch got old. Logan was one of the few heroes to survive the uprising, but he's far from the man we once knew. Old and tired, he now lives in Sacramento, California, along with his wife Maureen and two children, Scotty and Jade. Scotty was almost certainly named after Logan's on and off friend and rival, Scott Summers. However, the reason for this touching tribute is something we will get to in a moment. Having given up his life as a hero, Logan is trying to make a living as a farmer, working the barren lands he calls home, but times are tough, and his landlords, the Hulk gang, are brutal, ruthless, and more than importantly, they're demanding rent. Okay, before we delve into the tons of hillbilly Hulk stomping around a wasteland California, there's something we need to address. Even though the comics choose to tell you much later why this is happening, I think it's prudent we explain how Logan ended up as a down-on-his-luck farmer with a family to support, and most importantly, why he refuses to pop his claws. The night the villains rose up, heroes were slaughtered across the country, but possibly the most horrendous attack occurred at the X Mansion. It was assaulted by a small army of around 40 powered villains. Wolverine fought valiantly, slaughtering the attackers as he tried to find his teammates and protect the mutant children. Finally, he just had one target left. Bullseye. As his claws burst through the assassin's chest, Wolverine suddenly comes face to face with reality. There was no attack. He had slaughtered all of his fellow X-Men. An illusion by Mysterio had been enough to trick him, and now he was surrounded by the bodies of those he had loved, which was a far more potent weapon than making the X-Men fight enemies. Why not make them fight themselves? It was that hesitation of them trying to kill Wolverine that basically gave him the upper hand. Now, traumatized by his actions, he fled the mansion and wandered through the forest, waited for a freight train. In penance, he lays his neck on the tracks and he tries to kill the Wolverine for good. And although his healing factor repaired his body, he's now known as just Logan, a shell of his former self who vowed never to pop his claws or hurt another living being again. Coming back to the present where the story begins, we now have more context to why Logan's son was named Scotty. Scott Summers was among those killed by Wolverine, and I'm sure you can now understand why then a hillbilly Hulk is beating Logan into the ground and he doesn't actually fight back. The Wolverine as we know him is dead, and Logan, we've known Logan before, but now this is Logan as just a farmer. He cannot bring himself to hurt anybody, no matter how grim things have gotten and bleak a barren wasteland California is. Now, in a dark revelation, it's shown the mystery behind the hordes of this Hulk gang. Now, they're the inbred offspring of Bruce Banner and Jennifer Walters, the original Hulk and She-Hulk, which for comic buffs, yes, they are related, and his reasoning for hooking up with her as his first choice, well, she could keep up with him. Now it's a really disturbing thought thinking about two Hulks going out, especially as they're related. Now, unfortunately, it's never expanded upon as to what happened to Jennifer, and the lingering question of consent is pretty much out the window. Like everyone else on the West Coast, Logan has two choices. You either pay the rent or you get smushed by disgusting hillbilly Hulk children, and they are sadists in every sense of the word. So Logan gets a beat down because he hasn't paid the Hulks, and now blind and very haggard looking Hawkeye shows up on his doorstep with an offer. help him escort a package, and Logan will have enough money to pay the rent and then some. And obviously, the number one motivator for Logan now is look after his family. Without much choice, he joins Hawkeye and they set out on a journey to deliver what Logan assumes to be drugs to the capital, New Babylon. The journey is filled with diversions and subplots, everything from Hawkeye's own daughter becoming a supervillain, killing Kingpin, to being chased by a dinosaur fused with a venom symbiote. Through all this, Logan refuses to unleash his claws and repeatedly claims that the Wolverine is dead, much to the chagrin of Hawkeye. However, he does plenty of fighting and seeming to possess an almost radar-like sense similar to Daredevil once had, even though he's totally blind. Eventually, the pair arrive at the destination and it's revealed that the package they were delivering contains enough super soldier serum to form an army and rise up against the villains. Hawkeye believes he was taking the package to an underground resistance, however it was just a ruse trap, as if you can't tell by the guy's Hitler-looking mustache. Once the trap is sprung, they kill Hawkeye and gun down Logan. Their corpses are then brought to Red Skull, as it is his plan to basically draw them out, and he stands in his trophy room filled with weapons, armor of dead heroes, and wearing the tattered uniform of his old nemesis, Captain America. As you see him in a flashback finally defeating Cap, this is just absolutely brutal. He shoves his thumbs into his eyes as he's crying at the White House ruins. Like, this is the worst, bleakest future, and it's actually shown that in olden times, people would wear the skins of their defeated enemies, and so this is like a weird penchant the Red Skull has taken up, but he's wearing the tattered uniform of Cap, and he's not all there. His sanity's a little bit gone, but he's definitely still strong and crazy as batshit. Now, while Hawkeye might have been a goner, Logan's wounds start to heal up, and when he awakens, he beats the Red Skull and his goons to death without ever drawing his claws, somewhat hesitantly, but he's just being pushed over the edge, and he does only get the upper hand, because Red Skull, even though he's old, he beats the shit out of Wolverine, is because he uses Captain America's shield, and obviously that psychosis of he's beaten Cap and he's wearing his uniform, there's still something there that he just can't handle the thought of him coming back. And it allows him to just basically behead the shaken Red Skull as he got the upper hand. But again, if he didn't use it though, he would be totally cooked. Though still, in this moment, he comes face to face with the man who's orchestrated the deaths of countless heroes. He was the one that got all the supervillains together and basically helped the uprising come to fruition because they were, too busy being solo. And so really, this is the focal point of all the evil, and Wolverine still remains dead. Logan is in control, though just barely. He just wants to get back to his family. So Logan grabs the briefcase full of money that should have been their reward and uses Iron Man's armor, rushes home with the money to pay the Hulk gang's rent. However, upon arriving, he discovers the unthinkable. The Hulk gang had arrived early, demanded their rent, and when they couldn't pay, they murdered Maureen and the children. Once again, the villains had taken everything from Logan. And finally, Logan unleashes his claws, and the Wolverine is reborn. Now, he meticulously and ruthlessly cuts his bloody path through every member of the Hulk's inbred family until he reaches Banner himself. And there is some of the most visceral comic book scenes you'll ever see of him just cutting them down and hunting them. Even in his frail human form, Banner, though, displays this monstrous strength. He's old as dirt by this time, living in a cave. And during their fight, he reveals that he didn't have Logan's family killed for the rent. He simply wanted Logan angry enough to fight him, in his own words, because he was born. So the Bruce Banner that we knew of the comics is just dead. Like this crazy old man in a cave with all these hillbilly children. Banner has gone completely insane. What exactly sets this universe's Bruce Banner on the course of becoming a villain is not 100% known, but perhaps as he calmly muses, it was the radiation finally worming its way to his brain, which seems to be pretty evident. That's one compelling reason why he's an inbred hillbilly Hulk living in a freaking cave. However, what we do know is he joined the villains during the uprising, killing Thor amongst others. 100%, I'm gonna say there's probably the radiation in his brain that sent him absolutely insane, because he was a real hero underneath everything. But to have inbred Hulk children, to kill an old ally's family just for shits and giggles, this guy's gone. So Banner eventually transformed in his Hulk form and his strength grows even greater than previously seen, and he defeats Logan much like we've seen him do before. He just rips him in half and then devours what he thinks is his corpse. However, it's not over for Logan, for his wounds are healed inside the stomach of the Hulk. Unfortunately, the Hulk wasn't that smart already, but imagine him, his brain's a little slow, he's old, he's senile, and so he didn't think about it till one of his kids is like, he's like, oh, I got a sick belly, and his kid's like, yeah, Wolverine can heal. So Wolverine bursts out from inside his stomach like an alien, and he kills him. Afterwards, Logan discovers Banner's latest child. There's this baby Hulk called Bruce Banner Jr., which was the Hulk's favorite. And so he's looking at him with this decision. Do I kill this, monstrosity, or what do I do? I don't find out straight away. Logan and his neighbors hold a funeral for his wife and children, but with nothing left at his home, Logan says he plans to defeat the villains and bring peace to the world once more, and young baby Bruce is accompanying him and be the first member of his new group of superheroes. So he gets a new family, he gets a new posse, it's come full circle, he's the Wolverine again for good, and he's going to take down everybody that he can. And now, while many of the elements won't be showing up in the movie, the general themes of this series have clearly inspired it. Logan is old and past his prime, the mutants are gone, and the setting is just as barren and dusty as in the comics, and in his old age, his healing factor is somewhat weakened, and judging by the bruising and scarring on Logan's body, this might be reflected in the movie as well. Now, what elements of the Old Man Logan comic series do you want to see carry over to the final Wolverine movie? Let me know in the comments below. I can't wait to talk to you about this. Like I said, it's my favorite comic, and I've always wanted to explain what made it special. This bleak, distant future. Wolverine is no more, he's broken, and he's getting beat down. But also, just the thought of the villains taking over, that's something new that doesn't happen much in the universe, and it was something to explore. I think the hopelessness of it all was just absolutely intense. It was this Western, and I think that, the movie's obviously going to go the same route, but I love those Western themes. I think they should be coupled with the comics more. But the beauty of this video is it's just the start of the discussion, because if you love everything in geekdom, I want to talk to you about it. It's as simple as that, my friends.